In my previous life, my sister and fiancé both fell in love with my dorm mate at the same time. For his sake, they conspired against me and deceived me to get my design code. When I was disgraced, my company went bankrupt, and I was curled up helplessly in darkness. They were nestling beside him, letting out piercing mockery. Chung Yuan, you're simply ignorant and incompetent. When I woke up again, the scene before me was so familiar. I had returned to the artificial intelligence modeling competition venue 4 years ago. When I first established Shuyu Technology, my sister Chung Yuchio and my girlfriend Xia Zilian made 3 rules with me. They said when founding the company, I couldn't use family capital or poach senior programmers from other companies, claiming I needed to be self-reliant and prove myself. But then, they not only utilized family resources, but also helped my dorm mate Guzhan Yuan secure millions in angel investment to start his own company. After being reborn, watching my sister and girlfriend still scheming for my good brother, my heart turned to ashes. To avoid the tragedy from happening again, I decided to seek refuge abroad. That night at my farewell party, my sister, girlfriend, and my bunk mate were singing and dancing joyfully, without any sign of sadness. 4 years later, at the Star Glory Group's bidding summit, when I took the stage as the husband of the group's highest executive to present awards, they were completely stunned. After 4 years away, back in Xiao, I stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows at the Star Glory Convention Center, watching the countdown rolling on the holographic projection screen. There were 30 minutes left until the opening of the Star Glory Group bidding summit. As a global leader in the artificial intelligence industry, this bidding conference attracted many journalists. Young Master Chung, I thought I was seeing things. You finally returned home. While I was lost in thought, a familiar voice reached my ears. It was Guzhan Yuan, my former top bunkmate. Did you think I wouldn't dare to come back? Or that I couldn't come back? I coldly looked at his handsome face, my heart still frozen to the core. You're my brother. Even if your company goes bankrupt and your reputation is ruined, I can still support you. Guzhan Yuan spoke loudly, as if afraid others couldn't hear. Reporters, like hunting dogs with keen senses, along with some others, looked up to the second floor, scrutinizing me as their cameras rotated. Isn't that the former tech genius, young Master Chen? He was kicked out years ago for allegedly copying code. The discussions were quiet, but I could still faintly hear them. For years wasn't that long. I hadn't been completely forgotten. I coldly stared at Guzhan Yuan, hoping to see even a hint of guilt in his eyes. But his expression remained unchanged as he caught. Inu Tamak, I heard you set up a small workshop in Silicon Valley. Coming back at this time, are you also planning to bid? Brother, it's not that I look down on you. I'm just worried you can't write original code. Guzhan Yuan deliberately brought up the sensitive topic while pretending to care about me. Mr. Gu, we've heard that Program Yuchio, the top AI talent of Daxia, and Miss Xia Zilian, daughter of Xia Investment Group's chairman, have both confessed their feelings to you. Is this true? Between these two beauties, which type do you prefer? Are you planning to get married? Finally, the paparazzi caught up, the kind that specializes in entertainment news. Guzhan Yuan showed a satisfied smile. Everyone, those are just baseless rumors. They are both just my good friends. I hope everyone will pay more attention to our company's products. We are about to reach a strategic partnership with Xingyao Group. Thank you. Xingyao Group? That's the world leader in the AI industry. The reporters exclaimed in admiration. Guzhan Yuan had achieved his goal, and he gave a slight bow. Everyone, Xingyao Group has invited me to speak at the conference. I need to prepare, so please excuse me. Before leaving, he waved at me. Young Chung, after 4 years of hard work, what new product have you brought back? With just one move, he redirected all the reporters' attention to me while he gracefully departed. Mr. Chung, I heard you once pursued Miss Xia. Are you a brother or a rival to CEO Gu? Back then, your own sister exposed your code plagiarism. How's your relationship with her now? If Miss Xia marries CEO Gu, do you have anything to say? Still those fierce, predatory eyes from back then. One wrong answer from me would make me trend online. These people are skilled at making mountains out of molehills. For traffic, they would fabricate many facts. In the distance, Guzhan Yuan waved at me with a slight smile. I'm sorry, I need to. As I turned to enter the venue, a sharp voice rang out. Chung Yuan, who let you sneak back? Are you planning to steal Yuan's code again, just like you did 4 years ago? Looking back, my ex-girlfriend Xia Zilian was glaring at me, approaching with resentment. It's been 4 years, why can't you let it go? Always taking advantage of vulnerable moments, trying to sabotage Yuan's development at every critical period. The one who truly hasn't changed is Xia Zilian. She cursed at me just like this 4 years ago. Are you talking to me? Looking at my deranged ex-girlfriend in front of me, I felt dazed. This was the same woman who once pledged eternal love to me, but now she despises me so much. Who else would I be talking to? The Xingyao Group's bidding is a great opportunity for Yuan to soar. If you weren't feeling resentful, why would you come here to sabotage it? Since when did the group plan to cooperate with Gu Zhanyuan? I frowned slightly, as I hadn't signed any such documents. My confusion, in Xia Zilian's eyes, became a sign of guilty conscience. If you want to bully Yuan, you'll have to get through me first. Xia Zilian put her hands on her hips, blocking my way. Don't think you can fool everyone. You haven't been doing well abroad these years. Xingyao Group is an international corporation. How could they possibly cooperate with you? Leave now, unless you want me to call security. I couldn't be bothered to waste words with her, and directly took out the invitation from my pocket. Here's my membership invitation. It's genuine, and no one has the right to drive me away. Please step aside. Don't embarrass yourself. You should have been banned after that plagiarism incident 4 years ago. Xia Zilian bared her cold teeth, glaring at me like a vicious, ungrateful wolf. Cheng Yuyan, give up. No matter how hard you try, you'll never win my heart. Whether I marry Yuan or not, you don't have any chance. What a presumptuous woman. I'm here for the bidding conference. I couldn't care less about who you sleep with. By the way, your intelligence is outdated. I'm married. I indirectly answered the reporter's question, though this answer was somewhat unexpected. The reporters lost interest and dispersed, but Xia Zilian seemed insulted and let out a contemptuous laugh. Cheng Yuyan, you may fool the reporters, but don't pretend in front of me. You're just a hypocrite, and I won't let you find any loopholes. A summer insect cannot discuss ice. I brushed past her, keeping my eyes straight ahead as I headed directly for the elevator. Xia Zilian turned around and chased after me from behind, forcefully grabbing hold of me. Cheng Yuyan, name your price. How much money would it take for you to leave right now? I turned back with a soft sneer. You're panicking. You're afraid Gu Zhanyuan will lose, aren't you? Yuan losing? Ridiculous. What I'm worried about is you ruining our plans. I've already decided to propose to him right after the contract signing. Huh. I wish you lovebirds all the best. I said lightly as I continued walking. Stop being so sarcastic. I know you're jealous and envious, but your persistence is pointless. We're simply not the same kind of people. She was becoming desperate, pleading with tears in her voice. Please leave. Yuan will misunderstand if he sees you. If you leave now, I can give you 20 million, enough for you to live comfortably for the rest of your life. 20 million? How generous of you, but I'll pass. Upon hearing this, she was agitated and threatened coldly. Don't be so greedy. Be careful not to lose everything while trying to gain more. You won't get a penny. Her performance was brilliant, but I couldn't be bothered to watch and went straight to the elevator. Inside stood another woman, my own sister, Cheng Yuqiu. Looking at my sister who shares my blood, I felt a wave of helplessness and annoyance. It was her who had copied the source code I designed directly from my computer. She pulled me to a quiet corner and watched me vigilantly. What exactly are you trying to do? I calmly replied. I'm here for the bidding meeting. What else could I be doing? I'm warning you, don't cause trouble. Cheng Yuqiu frowned and scolded severely. I won't let you steal Yuan's project. Cheng Yuqiu's words and attitude were exactly the same. I looked up, staring at this once closest sister before me, now so unfamiliar. That modeling competition 4 years ago was jointly initiated by the Cheng and Xia families. The purpose was to incubate small and medium-sized companies in the artificial intelligence field. At that time, my college roommate and I each founded our own tech companies. Although we both wanted to win this project, I wasn't nervous since the organizers were my own people. Moreover, my design was innovative and unique in its approach. Full of confidence, I took my program to prove myself to my elder sister Cheng Yuqiu, hoping to get her support. She pretended to agree, copied my code, and then told me not to use family resources, saying she would help me handle everything. Xia Zilian also claimed in front of me that brothers should compete fairly. At that time, they were my closest people, and having their promises, I went back to sleep peacefully. As it turned out, they handed my code to Gu Zhanyuan, providing resources and personnel to quickly replicate my system. Then, after modifications, they created a more refined program. If that was all there was to it, I could have chosen to forget about it. However, right at the competition venue, they acted like thieves catching thieves, presenting evidence of my alleged plagiarism on the spot. In my previous life, I naturally refused to accept this. Being young and hot-headed, I directly confronted them. They turned this incident into irrefutable evidence, and I became a public enemy that everyone wanted to attack. As for my company, all business operations faced industry-wide boycotts, forcing us into bankruptcy. Cheng Yuqiu, Gu Zhanyuan, and Xia Zilian. These 3 instigators not only refused to help, but also forced me to transfer my core technology to Gu Zhanyuan's Tianyuan company at a low price. After falling from a building while drunk, I woke up again, back at the scene before the modeling competition began. Their scheme remained the same, but I was now fully aware of what I could have done. But there is no greater sorrow than the death of one's heart. Even after being reborn, I still couldn't accept this reality, so I withdrew from the competition. Then I closed down my company and went abroad alone to develop my career. For 4 years, They never made a single phone call or sent a single text message to me. Now had I finally returned, their attitude towards me is still full of guard and hostility, fearing that I might harm their beloved. Whenever I think about these things, my heart still aches. Cheng Yuyan, you can try again if you fail. But Gu Zhanyuan is different. He comes from a humble background and can only rely on himself. As his good friend, why can't you help him? Cheng Yuqiu asked this soul-searching question. My eyes reddened. Do you remember 4 years ago, you said my identity was that of a competitor, not a member of the Cheng family? So today, I'm not your brother either. I'm just a bidder. After saying that, I forcefully shook off her hand and turned to leave the elevator entrance. Guards, seize him. I still underestimated Cheng Yuqiu's ruthlessness. In an instant, I was surrounded by 2 large men from front and back. What? You want to kidnap me? I rolled up my sleeves, preparing for a fight. Cheng Yuqiu showed a look of disdain. Star Glory Group is the world's top artificial intelligence company. If they favor them, Yuan's company could go public this year. I won't allow anyone to become a stumbling block in his path. Cheng Yuqiu glanced at her watch and ordered her subordinates. Watch him closely. Don't let him take a single step away from here for 30 minutes. Being 30 minutes late meant I wouldn't even be able to enter the venue. My own sister tried to destroy me again. My eyes turned ice-cold with fury. Gu Zhanyuan is truly useless. The Cheng and Xia families spent 4 years' worth of resources nurturing him, and he still needs to cheat to get a contract. What did you say? Cheng Yuqiu's body trembled. Who's useless? Yes, who's really useless? I thought about it and laughed again. If Gu Zhanyuan was really useless, why would both my sister and my girlfriend stand by his side? Wouldn't that make me even more useless? Heh. I let out a cold laugh, quickly stepped forward, leaned back slightly, and forcefully struck the bodyguard's chest with my elbow. With 2 thuds, both security guards stumbled backward. I seized the opportunity to reach Cheng Yuqiu, one hand gripping her throat. Stop! Cheng Yuqiu couldn't believe that I was the same frail programmer brother she knew. There are many reporters ahead. Should I call them over? I threatened. Cheng Yuqiu was also a top programmer. After a brief analysis, she made a rational judgment. You can leave. I stepped past her and strode into the venue. Indeed, how would she know? Abroad, I often encountered assassins. If I hadn't improved, how could I have survived until now? When I entered, Gu Zhanyuan was standing in the spotlight. He was arranged to speak first, clearly under someone's instruction. I could already guess with fair certainty who that person was. I found my seat, behind Xia Zilian. She spotted me as soon as she turned around. I never thought your sister would go easy on you. Well, keep your eyes wide open and see who the real talent is up there. Looking at Gu Zhanyuan, her eyes were full of admiration and affection. The difference is like heaven and earth. Now that Yuan's company is set to collaborate with Xingyao Group, it's already a done deal. Otherwise, he wouldn't be the #1 guest. At this moment, Cheng Yuqiu also came in and sat beside Xia Zilian. Heh, everyone's here now. A slight smirk appeared on my face. Time for the show to begin. As Gu Zhanyuan finished his speech, thunderous applause erupted from the audience. The 2 women in front of me clapped until their hands turned red. The host returned to the stage. Mr. Gu, please stay. I hear you're a rising star in Jiangxing's business world. Starting from scratch 4 years ago, your company is now applying for IPO. After such high praise elevating him to an extreme position, Gu Zhanyuan became even more pleased with himself. This is all thanks to everyone's hard work. AI is the future trend. I just happened to take the first step. Upon hearing this, the host looked at Gu Zhanyuan with a meaningful smile, then suddenly changed his expression. Thank you for your excellent speech, Mr. Gu. As a leader in Jiangxing's AI industry, may I invite you to announce the bidding results with me? Gu Zhanyuan was startled and paused for a moment. I know that as a programmer, my classmate has strong logical thinking abilities. As a bidder, being asked to announce the results was clearly unusual. This was Gu Zhanyuan's last chance, but I guessed he definitely wouldn't leave. Sure enough, Gu Zhanyuan quickly adjusted his composure and said, It's my great honor to cooperate with Xingyao Group. This way, please, Mr. Gu. The host guided him to the bidding results. The bidding result was covered with red silk, waiting to be revealed like a bride. Gu Zhanyuan was somewhat excited, as he had already convinced himself that his son's company would win the bid. After striking a few poses to look cool, he forcefully pulled down the red silk. The winning company is Shuyu Technology, owned by Cheng Yuyan. Let's welcome him with applause. Upon seeing these words, the audience burst into commotion. I saw the instant smiles on Cheng Yuqiu and Xia Zilian's faces, and Gu Zhanyuan scratching his head in confusion. Host, there must be some mistake. Feeling tricked, Gu Zhanyuan's face turned as red as a monkey's behind. The host remained completely calm. Do you have any objections to this result? Our Xingyao Group's bidding process is open and transparent. Gu Zhanyuan was completely exposed and placed on stage to be grilled. His objection wasn't about the process but the result. Could there be a mistake? Huh. The host laughed. Mr. Gu, Xing Yao is a Fortune 500 company. Please don't question the rigor of our staff. It seems Mr. Gu is a bit nervous. Please return to your seat, and I'll continue to announce the results. Gu Zhanyuan was practically driven off stage, utterly humiliated. I solemnly announce that Xing Yao Group's partner is Shuyu Technology. May I invite CEO Cheng Yuyan to come up for a speech? I walked up to the stage under the hostile gazes of Xia Zilian and Cheng Yuqiu. After a moment of silence, the audience burst into enthusiastic applause. Perhaps everyone sensed that Gu Zhanyuan's era had come to an end. Congratulations, CEO Cheng. When you finally made your move, it was truly spectacular. CEO Cheng, you're young and capable. Please guide us in the future. I raised my arm slightly, and a group of people cheered below. Well, they're business people. As long as I can share the profits with them, they'd gladly call me daddy. Cheng Yuyan, you've gone too far. A discordant voice broke out. Don't think you can get away with this. Cheng Yuqiu, with an angry face, strode onto the stage and raised her hand to slap me. I moved slightly and easily dodged it. Cheng Yuqiu trembled with anger. You think getting the project through improper means will silence everyone? You've been pampered since childhood. How could you possibly handle this well? You clearly used the Cheng family's connections. Xia Zilian also rushed forward, her face pale with anger as she shouted. CEO, Gu has worked diligently in the AI industry for 4 years, and you stole it with underhanded tactics. How could you be so heartless? The audience below, seeing this situation, began to whisper among themselves. I glanced at Gu Zhanyuan, who was secretly enjoying himself. Gu Zhanyuan, you coward. Are you a mama's boy who needs 2 women to stand up for you? However, Cheng Yuqiu seemed to enjoy the feeling of standing up for a man. Cheng Yuyan, I demand you hand over the contract right now. Do you know how much blood and sweat Yuan put into this bid? How dare you steal it? How do you know I haven't worked hard? I've been preparing for this bid for 4 years, no less than him. Cheng Yuqiu smirked. I'm your sister, no one knows you better than I do. Spoiled and pampered, habitual liar, someone like you could never do serious research. What's going on here? Her own sister seems to be taking the wrong side. She's even selling out her own brother. Could this really be true? We'll have to be careful about working with him in the future. Credit is the foundation of business. The last time I went bankrupt was because my reputation was ruined. They're trying to use their old tricks again, smearing my reputation to make it impossible for me to establish myself in this circle. I looked resentfully at my leading opponent. This was my own sister, trying to destroy me time and time again. More than a decade of sibling relationship couldn't even compare to Gu Zhanyuan. Who dares question Star Glory Group's judgment? Who wants to overturn my decision? Just as chaos was breaking out, applause suddenly erupted from backstage. Following the sound, Yi Wanqing, the CEO of Xingyao Group, walked over with elegant steps. So this is the CEO of Xingyao Group. Seeing is believing. Never thought I'd get to meet the CEO. What an honor. While the audience felt privileged, Cheng Yuqiu and Xia Zilian's expressions slightly changed. The woman before them was not only stunningly beautiful, but her demeanor and grace also surpassed theirs. Just standing on the stage motionless, her powerful presence could be felt by everyone. Yi Wanqing swept a cold gaze over Cheng Yuqiu and Xia Zilian. I'm curious, what makes you too qualified to question Xingyao Group's judgment in choosing partners? Or do you think you have better judgment than Xingyao Group? Cheng Yuqiu bit her lip, knowing that the Cheng family had no right to be proud in front of Xingyao Group. Ms. Yi, that's not what we meant. It's just that Cheng Yuyan. Yi Wanqing interrupted her. As far as I know, the Chatseek proposal submitted by Shuyu Technology this time far exceeds other companies in both innovation and feasibility. You claim to know him like the back of your hand. So tell me, what are the features of your brother's product? Cheng Yuqiu had focused all her attention on Gu Zhanyuan, never paying attention to her own brother, let alone the company's products. She was stunned on the spot. Can't say it. Yi Wanqing pressed on. Then why did you publicly question and humiliate your own brother? Yi Wanqing's logic was clear, and in just a few sentences, she left Cheng Yuqiu speechless. Seeing Cheng Yuqiu's face alternating between green and white, Yi Wanqing stepped forward and said contemptuously, what a pity to have such a pretty face, but an empty head. Cheng Yuqiu had never suffered such humiliation before, but Yi Wanqing was a class above her in both wealth and status. She could only silently endure the insult, not daring to say more. As the noble young lady of the Wei family, she had never suffered such humiliation before, and her eyes immediately turned red. It was Xia Zilian who steeled herself and roared at Yi Wanqing. Don't think that just because you're the CEO of Starlight Group, you can shield a plagiarist. Plagiarism is equivalent to theft. Where there's a first time, there'll be a second. Cheng Yuyan has always been someone who wants gains without pains. After saying this, she changed her strategy and said in a coy voice, everyone, don't be fooled by his appearance. However, there wasn't much confusion on Yi Wanqing's face, as if she had known Xia Zilian would bring this up. With a slight smile and a meaningful glance, she said softly, "Oh, you're talking about the AI modeling competition from 4 years ago. So you know about it." Xia Zilian nodded, repeatedly with excitement. Yi Wanqing blinked her eyes. "There seems to be more to this story. That investment was initiated by your Xia family and the Cheng family. Logically, Cheng Yuyan's Sri AI should have won, but the investment was ultimately given to the runner-up, Guzhan Yuan." "That's right. Ms. Yi, you understand perfectly. If it weren't for Cheng Yuqiu and me exposing his scheme together, we would have almost been deceived by Cheng Yuyan. Because of this incident, he could no longer establish himself in China and had to flee abroad to continue his deceptions. For years have passed, yet they're still fixated on this matter, and I remain a stumbling block for Guzhan Yuan. Like a cycle, nothing has changed, except this time I definitely won't be the loser. They are walking right into my tightening cage." I smiled silently, without any intervention, waiting for Yi Wanqing to continue. Yi Wanqing let out a light laugh. "Xia Zilian, right? I remember you were Cheng Yuyan's girlfriend when this incident happened." As soon as these words were spoken, the media erupted into chaos. "So Ms. Xia is actually a backstabber who betrayed her fiancé?" A flash of panic crossed Xia Zilian's eyes, as she didn't want anyone to bring up this relationship again. "I stand for justice, not for family ties." Xia Zilian put on a self-righteous pose, while Yi Wanqing smiled with contempt. "The facts might be as you described, but the truth is vastly different. Ms. Yi, you're a person of status. You shouldn't make groundless accusations." Xia Zilian's body trembled, yet she continued her theatrical performance loudly. Yi Wanru nodded with satisfaction. Xia Zilian had finally fallen into the trap. This interrogation procedure had been carefully designed in my ChatSeek model. Even a programming expert like Cheng Yuqiu couldn't detect it, let alone Xia Zilian. She provided me with the perfect opportunity to overturn the case, and the reporters were already extremely excited, refocusing on the events from 4 years ago. "Xia Zilian, you won't believe until you see the evidence. Unlike you. Yi Wanqing, don't make empty claims. You want evidence? Here it is." Yi Wanqing extended her fair arm and clapped, making a crisp sound. "Witnesses, please come forward." Several people walked up from backstage, and the expressions of Cheng Yuqiu and Xia Zilian changed dramatically. The arrivals were the judges from the modeling competition 4 years ago. Among them were people from both the Xia group and Cheng group. "Ms. Xia, you recognize these people, don't you?" Xia Zilian froze on the spot, neither daring to admit nor deny, knowing that one wrong step would lead to a deep abyss. "Tell us, which judges did you approach behind the scenes? You managed to revoke his award qualification despite insufficient evidence." By now, Xia Zilian would be truly foolish if she couldn't see that Yi Wanqing came well prepared. She rolled her eyes and suddenly turned coy towards me. "Cheng Yuyan, as a grown man, you shouldn't dwell on such a small matter from 4 years ago. Back then, it was just a tiny bit of unfairness. Why did you have to investigate me?" "Brother Cheng, technically, I'm still your fiancé." Yi Wanqing's expression changed abruptly as she slapped Xia Zilian across the face. "You two broke up 4 years ago. You're just his ex-fiancé. Stop trying to seduce him." Yi Wanqing turned to face the judges. "Tell the reporters everything about the review process from 4 years ago." These people had clearly been dealt with by Yi Wanqing beforehand, and they immediately confessed everything, clearing my name. The crowd instantly became angry, and their looks toward Cheng Yuqiu and Xia Zilian changed. Using backdoor connections for an outsider while making their closest person take the blame. This kind of backstabbing is so cruel that even novelists wouldn't dare write it. It's worse than animals. This kind of scandal couldn't survive exposure, and Xia Zilian and Cheng Yuqiu finally became scared. I knew with Yi Wanqing's personality, she would definitely go for the kill. What happened just now was only the appetizer. Have you two ever wondered why they were willing to tell the truth? Xia Zilian and Cheng Yuqiu finally realized just how terrifying the woman standing before them truly was. Why? Cheng Yuqiu fidgeted with the hem of her clothes, thinking these people were all loyal to the 2 major families and had no reason to betray them. Because there are no longer any Zhao group or Cheng group. They're all subsidiaries of Xingyao group now. Cheng Yuqiu and Xia Zilian's bodies trembled violently. They exclaimed almost in unison. Impossible. They weren't such huge entities. Acquiring 2 companies was just a drop in the bucket. Yi Wanqing kindly suggested. "If you don't believe it, just make a phone call to confirm." The 2 women snapped to attention, hastily making calls, and soon heard the news of both companies' bankruptcy firsthand. Looking at their devastated figures, I felt it was time for me to personally step in. "Do you know why President Yi stood up for me?" Yi Wanqing also smiled at Xia Zilian. "Do you know why I slapped you just now?" "Why?" The 2 women shouted hysterically. They were almost being driven mad. Yi Weiniang came to my side and nestled into my arms like a little bird. Honey, you're so bad. Hurry up and tell them why. Yes, my dear wife. Xia Zilian and Cheng Yuqiu's eyes nearly popped out of their heads. They were clearly shocked to their core by this thunderbolt revelation. You two are married? Xia Zilian gritted her teeth. I should have known. I smirked coldly. You're just slow. When we first met, I told you I was married, but you didn't believe me. So that's ho. W it is. Cheng Yuqiu finally came to her senses. She said angrily. Everything that happened today was all a carefully planned scheme. I nodded frankly in admission. After I went abroad, I met Yi Weiniang, whom I truly fell in love with. She knew about what happened 4 years ago weighing on my mind, so she carefully orchestrated this bidding meeting. Upon learning the truth, Cheng Yuqiu burst into hysterical laughter, looking utterly devastated. Ah Yan, I am your one and only biological sister. Since our parents passed away, I've taken full responsibility for your daily life. I've taken good care of you and kept you healthy and happy. Have you forgotten all that? I wanted to treat you as my real sister, but did you ever treat me as your real brother? My cold heart finally rippled with emotion as I angrily retorted. Without me paving the way, do you think any of the company's shares would have been left for us siblings? Cheng Yuqiu frowned and scolded loudly. Yes, I acknowledge her care for me, but only before she met Gu Zhanyuan. I used to think my sister was just temporarily confused, deceived by Gu Zhanyuan. Until the moment I fell from the building, she had no intention of saving me. Let him die if he dies. Those were the last words of abandonment I heard from her as I was dying. From that moment on, our bond was severed completely. I wiped the tears from my eyes. Don't worry, the 25% company shares in your possession will remain valid permanently, enough to last you for the rest of your life. You're such an ungrateful wretch. Cheng Yuqiu was still filled with endless anger, as if I had done something terribly wrong to her. Cheng Yuqiu, since you don't know when to stop, I won't leave you with even the last shred of dignity. I've done all kinds of calculations. With your intelligence, how could you possibly be deceived by someone like Gu Zhanyuan? Even if you were, it would only be temporary. What are you trying to say? Cheng Yuqiu took a deep breath. I took out a handful of photos and threw them into the air, falling like snowflakes. Gu Zhanyuan was just a decoy you used against me. And you've wanted me dead all along, haven't you? I was targeted for assassination multiple times abroad, and these photos were found on the assassins. Only you could have provided these photos. You are the mastermind. Cheng Yuqiu was thunderstruck, no longer showing her previous resentment and indignation. You knew all along. Of course, your methods weren't sophisticated. I had my suspicions even before leaving the country. I just couldn't believe that the sister who raised me for 10 years would deliberately plot against me for money. Those stocks, as long as you ask, I'll give them all to you. Because in my heart, you come first. What was readily available, yet you chose to scheme against me. Dear, you still have me. Yi Weiniang took my arm, so gently, slowly healing my wounds. Overseas, we stayed together through thick and thin, living and dying together, going through the darkest moments of our lives. Even if the whole world turns against me, even if I have nothing left, she would stay by my side, never leaving. I still shed tears, laughing bitterly. Hand over the program group stocks, and you'll be spared from prison. This is my final bottom line. Cheng Yuqiu seemed to finally understand. She collapsed in pain, letting out a heart-wrenching cry. I'm sorry, Yan. Sister wants to love you one more time. I shook my head. There's no need. Let's end our grievances here, and never meet again in this life or death. Gu Zhanyuan stepped forward and embraced her. It's okay. I will take good care of you. Cheng Yuqiu angrily broke free, slapping Gu Zhanyuan's face with both hands, feeling as if her heart and lungs had been hollowed out. Get out, get out. Give me back, Yan. Gu Zhanyuan turned back in bewilderment, then looked for Xia Zilian's figure, but she was long gone. When Xia Corporation went bankrupt, her parents committed suicide by jumping off a building, and she was busy dealing with the aftermath. In my previous life, my family was ruined and I died once. In this life, the Xia family is ruined, and from now on she will be alone and helpless. Xia Zilian is different from my sister. She's a pampered princess with nothing but looks. Without family support, she can't live a privileged life. Without me doing anything, she will become a beggar, living a life worse than death. A dazed Gu Zhanyuan ran up to me. You scheming villain, you've stolen everything that belonged to me. I won't let this go. I'll make you face legal consequences. I was instantly amused. My good brother, since when did you switch from studying programming to studying law? Would you like to know about fraud charges? How about espionage charges? Embezzling company assets, corruption, and bribery. Without Cheng Yuqiu and Xia Zilian protecting you, you'll have to serve your full sentence. Gu Zhanyuan trembled in fear, then shouted with false bravado. Do you have any evidence? These are all one-sided accusations. You're just trying to scare me. Oh really? I spread my hands, completely at ease. I now run a leading tech company closely involved with security. All surveillance footage goes through my data processing. Finding evidence against you would take just minutes. Gu Zhenyuan's eyes darted around frantically as he desperately searched for excuses. At most, I'm just an accomplice. Would you really let your sister go to prison? And what about Xia Zilian? She's your true love after all. How interesting. We've cut all ties. If they end up in prison, it has nothing to do with me. In fact, I'd be happy to see that outcome. You can all play cards together in prison. As I turned to leave, Gu Zhenyuan fell to his knees before me with a thud. Mr. Chung, I was wrong. Please forgive me and just let me go like I'm nothing. You are nothing. I wouldn't even bother with you if you hadn't shown up in front of me. I snorted coldly. So does that mean I can leave? Gu Zhenyuan's face lit up with joy. Hold on. Like beating a child on a rainy day, I've got nothing better to do. Think about all the wrongs you've done to me. For each one you remember, slap yourself. You can leave after you've reached 200 slaps. Really? Gu Zhenyuan actually agreed. I stole Mr. Cheng's girlfriend. I deserve this. Slap. I deceived Mr. Cheng's sister. I deserve this. Slap. I embezzled company property. I deserve this. Slap. Wow. Now I have evidence. 200 criminal confessions. I completed gathering evidence at the scene. Walking out with Yi Wenying, I played the role of a good citizen and reported Gu Zhenyuan. The police officer took him away directly. Chengyian, you dare trick me? This isn't over. When I get out, I'll kill you. Roar, young man. I have no pressure at all. Given his crimes, if not death penalty, it would be life imprisonment. By the time he gets out, who knows where I'll be living my life. And even if worse comes to worst, with his puny build, he thinks he can kill me? So what's your plan now? Yi Wenying held my arm and asked softly. Going home. What for? Baby making plan. Let's go. I picked her up, got into the Lamborghini, and couldn't resist wanting to kiss